Here's why I like Colorado, Drake. They have been an ascending team in the last few weeks. They're playing much more complimentary football as the season goes on. I thought they'd be better this year, but they've even surpassed my expectations. It's a tough time for the Deion haters out there, of which I have been falsely accused of being. But alas, here I am picking Colorado to win and cover against Kansas because, well, they went on the road. They beat BYU last week. Two things. Number one, BYU was not sustainable with the way they were playing, just like Miami wasn't sustainable. They lost to Georgia Tech. And number two, Kansas won that game with, checks notes, less than 250 yards of total offense. You're not going to win that way against the Buffs. I like Colorado here.
Yeah, first and foremost, congratulations on getting your own name on the show, Princess.
Thank you. That was several weeks ago, and you've been on multiple times since then, but it's good to know you're paying attention.
Real cute. Colorado, foot in mouth for me. I keep saying this, but I can't apologize enough. I was just wrong. I got it wrong completely and entirely.
What did you think of them before the year?
I was ready for the Colorado Buffs to go 5-7, and immediately somebody's in the comments section going, "Oh, we aren't 5-7." I know, I understand. I was incorrect in thinking that the team who carried 4- and 5-star players last year but couldn't get it done in the in the Pac-12.
There it is. He found it. He got there eventually.
Hello, a little bit too much cold brew. Couldn't get it done in the Big 12, and you're seeing that from Utah, and you're seeing it from Arizona right now. It's just tough to adjust the conferences. Not if you're Colorado or Arizona State. Both those teams. I was going to say, you better be shouting out the Sun Devils in there. Yeah, exactly. And now with where the Buffs are, completely surprised from my standpoint. I know a lot of Buffaloes fans would claim that they weren't. They were ready for this to happen. They are the most talented team on paper in the entire Big 12. When you talk about 4 and 5 stars, go back to 24/7, and it hasn't been Jimmy Horn Jr. like we thought. It hasn't been an improved run game like we thought. It hasn't been a dominant offensive line, a better offensive line for sure, but not dominant whatsoever. It's been Travis Hunter on offense who's carried the number one wide receiver role. And now there are a lot of folks come out of the woodwork say, well, it was going to be Travis Hunter all along. No, beginning of the season, he could have been your wide receiver 3 because of the depth in that room. But now he's the number one guy. And Shedeur Sanders, for some reason, is sneakily in the Heisman conversation. We kind of forgot about him in the middle of the year, but his numbers are impeccable. He should certainly be in New York, and the Buffs are the most dangerous team in the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, I think they are playing really good football. Good teams peak in November. The Patriots under Bill Belichick, they always peaked in November and December. Andy Reid, end of the year, boy, that guy wins a lot of football games. I know they just lost to the Bills, but you know what? Turns out the Bills are also pretty good, whatever you think of Sean McDermott. But this is a college football show, so let's recenter here. But going back to Kansas.
What are your favorite November NHL teams, Spencer? Okay, great.
I don't follow hockey. I follow real sports. There, I said it, and I'm going to anger people, and that's okay. So Colorado and Kansas in this spot. You and I both like Kansas before the year because on paper they should have been good. This is why you play games on the field. There's no better example than Kansas and Utah, who you and I infamously at this point picked to square off in the Big 12 championship game, and they're not going to do that.
And Joel Klatt. We all
screwed that one up. But the team that Kansas has been in the last couple of weeks, they beat Iowa State, they beat BYU. This is the Kansas we thought we'd see before the year. But I watched them last week against BYU and said, you know, I don't know if they win the game if a pooch punt doesn't hit the back of a BYU player that leads to a Kansas touchdown. And BYU almost pulled off the magical drive once again. I don't think that they've got enough to keep up with Colorado here. I don't trust the offense, as amazing as that is to say, with a returning head coach in Lance Leipold. They lost their offense coordinator, but they bring back Jalen Daniels, who's finally looked like himself again over the second half of this year. There is some cause for optimism for Kansas in this game, which I'll get to in a sec, but I just don't think that Kansas has the defense to slow down the Buffs to where their offense can hang.
No, I don't think so. I do believe last week against BYU was a one-off defensively for Kansas. They do not grade well on that side of the football. And I made a comment on my show this week that I want to backtrack a bit, and it actually applies to what you just said, that this is kind of the version of Kansas we were promised. I still don't think it's as good as the version of Kansas we were promised, at least not consistent enough. We after the Houston game said, wow, 42-14 against a Houston team that's gotten better. Are they back? Then they lose against Kansas State, who we know right now is not playing very good football. And obviously, these last 2 weeks have been great for the Jayhawks, but still, if they play like this the whole year, I believe they're 8-4, 9-3, not in the Big 12 championship. They're not at the peak potential of what they could be. Are they ascending there? Sure, but they already have 6 losses. Like, it's too late to contend for literally anything if the Jayhawks. Dangerous, yes.
Bowl eligibility, they're fighting for that.
Which, I mentioned this as well, if you are Nebraska or Michigan, bowl eligibility is kind of stupid. You want to win championships. You want to go to the college football playoff. You don't care about the Tax Slayer Bowl. Kansas fans do.
Sorry, Nebraska hasn't been to a bowl game since when? I think they would love to win their 6th game of the year.
Yeah, it's just, there are proud programs in this country that are like, we have a way higher standard than this. Kansas is still not there yet. A bowl game means a lot to that fan base. I guess Nebraska now, a bowl game would mean a lot to their fan base. For the Jayhawks, yeah, they have that to play for, but all real stakes are gone. All legitimate stakes are gone unless you want to play in the Armed Forces Bowl at TCU's stadium. So Colorado, they got the Jimmies and the Joes, and they're playing much better football, even still, than a Kansas team who looks improved. I don't see the Jayhawks hanging around too much in this one. And even with that said, I think the Buffs win by 10 or 13. That's a pretty good little chunk, given as well as Kansas is playing, I guess.
Here's the sliver of hope and the olive branch I'll extend to the Jayhawks fans out there that gives me some inclination as to why Vegas has this as a 3-point spread, according to our friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Which will be covered, by the way. Jeez.
Yeah, I completely agree. Completely agree. Bet maybe not the mortgage, but half of it on Colorado -3. I think you'll be okay there. Kansas has done a good job protecting Jalen Daniels so far this year. Drake, through 10 games, how many sacks has Kansas allowed?
5.
9.
Oh, wow.
They've allowed 9. Which
pretty darn good.
It is quite good. And what has been the strength of this Colorado?
Which makes me even more upset with Jalen Daniels. They're giving you time to throw. You're just throwing it to the other team.
Yes, he has just been I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But the strength of this Colorado defense, you can talk about Travis Hunter all you want, it's the defensive line. That is why that side of the ball has changed for the Buffs. And at the very least, Kansas is capable of holding serve, neutralizing, having an advantage in that area of the trenches where other teams probably would not. So maybe that's how Kansas can hang around. But boy, Jalen Daniels has to protect the football. You give extra possessions to Kansas's defense to come on the field. I don't care who's playing offense on the other side, unless it's BYU apparently. They're going to score points.
Yeah, I do think that Colorado's secondary needs some love there, too. They've been so solid this season. When your secondary and your front line is good on defense, that's a very good sign. I love the Buffs in this one, and it makes me think maybe opposing defenses are intentionally not sacking Jalen Daniels so he can throw the ball. Maybe that's what they want.
It's the EA College Football 25 strategy. Just drop 7 to 8 or 9 guys in coverage, and eventually they'll throw it to the wrong color jersey.
Yes, and that's what Jalen Daniels has done this year. Yeah, give me the Buffs big time.
Yeah, I completely agree. What about the rest of the Big 12? How's that playing out? Well, we're going to try and predict every single game, and we're not going to fail because we never have before. Our predictions are the best. You guys stick around for those. Duh.